Hi, I'm Liz Miller and you're watching PC World's Back to Basics. Last time we gave you a brief overview of each of the main components you'll find inside of your PC. And now it's time to get to know these components a bit better, starting off with your computer's memory, or RAM. If you didn't already know, RAM stands for Random Access Memory. And like most computer acronyms, this probably doesn't tell you a great deal about what it actually does. So here's a basic explanation. RAM acts as a high-speed data store for your applications and operating system. It's a bit like your hard drive in that respect, but while your hard disk can store information indefinitely, RAM needs power to work and is wiped clean when you shut down your PC. The reason we use RAM instead of hard disks is because it's a lot faster, and with today's memory chips able to shift over 3 gigabytes of data per second, that's about 20 times faster than the best hard disks currently available. Not having enough RAM is one of the most common performance bottlenecks, and if your computer runs out of memory space, then your programs will start to store temporary data on your hard disk instead, and this will slow down your system a lot. The good news is that updating your RAM is a piece of cake, and Back to Basics will show you how. Before you go opening up your PC, you'll need to know just how much RAM you have installed, and there are two ways that you can do this. The first is to watch the screen carefully when you turn your PC on. You should see a rapidly counting figure towards the top of your screen. The number it finishes on is how much RAM you have installed. Alternatively, you could just boot up your PC and right-click on the My Computer icon, then select Properties. In the panel that pops up, you'll see a brief description of your system, and it will list the amount of RAM that you have inside at the bottom. If this figure reads 512 megabytes or higher, then you already have enough RAM installed for general use. But if you have 128 megabytes or less, then adding more RAM is likely to make a significant difference to your PC's performance, especially if you're running more than one application at a time or using memory-intensive programs like games or video editing software. On a side note, Windows 95, 98 and ME aren't very good at handling large amounts of memory, so don't try and upgrade to over 512 megabytes unless you have Windows 2000 or XP. The next thing is to find out just what kind of RAM you have installed, and there's no way you can do this without opening the case. Just make sure you touch a grounded metal surface to discharge any static electricity before handling your PC's components. As we've mentioned before, RAM comes on a slim circuit board called a stick, but these can also be described as DIMMs, or dual inline memory modules. If your PC is getting on a bit, you may find that it's fitted with a single inline memory module, but this is very unlikely and we'll only be covering DIMMs in this feature. You'll generally find your memory is sitting in slots near your PC's processor, just like the ones shown here. It is also possible that you may have more than one stick of RAM installed. If so, make a note of this, as well as counting the number of memory slots you have available on your motherboard. In our case, we have 2 sticks of RAM and 4 memory slots. Don't be surprised if your RAM looks a little different. Ours is a high-performance memory module, and this silver casing is a heat spreader that helps you keep it cool during use. We know from earlier checks that our system has a total of 512 megabytes of RAM installed, so this means we have 2 sticks with 256 megabytes on each one. But you need to know more than this, so it's time to take a closer look. At present, your RAM is locked into place, so it needs to be released before you can remove it. To do this, locate the white plastic catches at either end of the memory slot. Using your thumbs, push these carefully outwards, and this will not only release the RAM, but it should also lift it out of the slots so that you can remove it easily. Now that your RAM is out, you'll find a sticker attached to one side that contains all of the information that you'll need when it comes to ordering your new sticks. The main thing to look for is the RAM identifier, which is PC followed by a 3 or 4 digit number like PC100 or PC3200. Make a note of this and any other information that is listed here and put the stick back where it came from. Make sure that it's lined up properly with the contacts at the bottom and the notch lined up with the corresponding tooth on the memory slot, otherwise the stick won't fit. Use the guides at either end of the slot to ease the stick back in and then press down firmly until you see both retaining clips pop back into place. Be careful here. You may need to be quite firm if the slot is a little stiff, or press down just one side at a time. Just make sure that you press straight down. Applying excessive pressure sideways may be disastrous. Now you've identified your system's memory configuration, you can order your RAM with the knowledge you need at hand. The easiest way to upgrade is to add to the RAM you already have installed. However, if all of your motherboard slots are occupied, you'll need to replace part or all of your existing configuration with larger memory sticks. If you look carefully at your motherboard, you'll see that the DIMM slots are numbered. Fill the lowest numbered slots first. You may also find that your slots are colour-coded, which usually means that your motherboard supports dual-channel memory, like the one shown here. If this is the case, adding a pair of matched memory sticks to the corresponding memory slots will offer a higher bandwidth and increased performance. Either way, you add the RAM as before. Make sure that the clips are open and check that the contacts are facing downwards and that the notch is in the right place. Then use the guides to line the stick up with the slot and press down carefully at either end. When you see the clips pop back into place, your RAM is installed, and all that's left for you to do is to put the case back on, boot up your PC and enjoy the faster performance that a RAM upgrade will provide. If you find that you have old sticks of RAM left over, don't worry, these can be used for all sorts of other things, like stirring your tea, lifting the lids off tins, or even opening parcels. Alternatively, you could just ask around and see if anyone else could use it, like your local school for instance. That's about it for now. I hope that you found this guide useful. There's plenty more where that came from, so thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Oh, did I do it again?